To the Board of Massage Therapy meeting. We're going to play a short video.
Welcome to the Professional and Vocational Licensing Virtual Board Meeting. When the meeting begins momentarily, the chair will take a roll call, explain any specific rules for this particular board, and then move to public comment. The name of the board member will appear on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. For instance, this is board member Y, and this is board member E. Public testimony will be accepted at the beginning of the meeting and before each agenda item. You can indicate that you are ready to testify by clicking on the Raise Hand button being circled by the mouse on your screen now. At the appropriate time, the board will recognize you to speak and ask you to unmute your mic as shown here. Again, public testimony will be accepted at the beginning of the meeting and before each agenda item. Public attendees will not be able to unmute their microphone until recognized by the board. Public attendees who are recognized to testify will be asked to identify themselves by name and their affiliated organization if applicable. Please mute your microphone when you are finished speaking, as a courtesy to others and members of the board. Public attendees will not be able to unmute themselves after the testimony is completed unless recognized again after raising their hand. At some point during the meeting, the board may choose to move into executive session. When the board moves into executive session, the board members' microphones and video feeds will be turned off, and a similar screen as you see now will be displayed. When the board returns from executive session, their microphones will be turned on as well as their video cameras. Welcome again to the Professional and Vocational Licensing Virtual Board Meeting. At this time, the chair will call the meeting to order and take a roll call, as well as explain any additional rules that may be specific to this board.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Good morning, everyone. I'm calling the meeting to order. It is 9:03 a.m. To view the meeting and provide live oral testimony, please use the link at the top of the agenda. You'll be asked to enter your name, and the board will request that you enter your full name, but you may use a pseudonym or other identifier if you wish to remain anonymous. You'll also be asked for an email address. You may fill in the field with any entry in an email format. Your microphone will be automatically muted, and when the chairperson asks for public testimony, you may click the raise hand button found in your Zoom scanner or Zoom screen, to indicate that you wish to testify about the agenda item. The chairperson will individually enable each testifier to unmute their microphone. When recognized by the chair, please unmute your microphone before speaking and mute your microphone after you have finished speaking. If you cannot get internet access, you may get audio-only access by calling the Zoom phone number listed at the top of the agenda. Upon dialing the number, you will be prompted to enter the meeting ID, which is also listed at the top of the agenda. After entering the meeting ID, you'll be asked to either enter your panelist number or wait to be admitted into the meeting. You will not have a panelist number, so please wait until you're admitted into the meeting. When the chairperson asks for public testimony, you may indicate you want to testify by entering the asterisk and the number 9 on your phone's keypad. After entering the asterisk and the number 9, a voice prompt will let you know that the host of the meeting has been notified. When recognized by the chair, you may unmute yourself by pressing the asterisk and then 6 on your phone. A voice prompt will let you know that you are unmuted. Once you are finished speaking, please enter the asterisk and the number 6 again to mute yourself. For both internet and phone access when testifying, you'll be asked to identify yourself and the organization, if any, that you represent. And each testifier will be limited to 5 minutes of testimony per agenda item. I'm going to do a quick roll call, and please indicate if you're alone. Darcy,
Aloha, I'm alone.
great. Shannon
Hi, I'm here and I am alone.
and Olivia is here, and I'm alone. Well, I have a dog, but okay. And moving on, do we have anyone in the gallery that wishes to provide testimony?
There are no attendees.
Okay.
She can provide testimony at this time.
Okay, great. Moving on, looking at the minutes of the March 5th meeting. I wasn't there, so Darcy and Shannon.
There's just an area that I wanted to clarify that when I was speaking about the feedback attained from schooling of increasing anatomy hours, that was feedback from not a student or students, but it was feedback from a school owner. And they're experimenting with increasing hours in anatomy, and that actually backfiring on them, causing more confusion. So I just wanted to clarify that statement at the end of the meeting minutes.
Okay, so how should that be?
How should it read?
Instead of students, instructor, and yeah, like instructor shared feedback from their personal experience increasing anatomy hours in their program.
Tell me what page you're looking at and which paragraph.
One moment.
Oh, I see, 5th page.
I have so many screens open. Just 1 second trying to find the meeting minutes.
It's page 5.
Page 5.
March 5th meeting minutes, page 5, last paragraph.
Let's see. So did you say instead of schools, did you want me to put instructors? How would you like it to read?
So let's see here. Noted that instructor or owner of school experimented with increasing anatomy hours.
So which part would you like me to strike and which part?
Strike. Scoob noted that some students needed additional help studying for anatomy to pass the exam, and that there are concerns for increasing and acquired anatomy hours. Strike that.
Okay, all right, so Miss Skoog noted that she spoke with, like how she spoke with.
She spoke with school owner who experimented
With
who
increased
anatomy hours for their program.
Increased anatomy hours for their program.
And that resulted
Which
resulted in more confusion than help.
Would you just like me to strike that whole sentence and not add anything with that? Or did you want to clarify that statement? Sorry,
No, the feedback I was just trying to share at the last meeting was when we were talking about increasing hours to help students pass the exam, and that was feedback I received. So we can strike that whole sentence.
Want me to strike that whole
sentence? The point I was trying to make. Yeah.
Okay, and you don't need to add anything, or you still wanted to clarify something in there?
We can add the feedback of a school that tried experimenting with increasing hours and that didn't result.
She spoke with a school owner who increased anatomy hours for their program, which resulted in
more confusion more or resulted in students not becoming stronger in that area. That's the feedback he said. It just caused more confusion than help.
Okay.
So yes, however that could be. Sorry, I'm a wordy person, so I know you guys try to condense it better than I can. Thank you.
Can I just ask, Shannon, why would they be more confused? Did she say because expanding the anatomy hours to explain it and perhaps incorporate a palpation drill? I found that to be very, very helpful. So it's the matter of the information being disseminated to the students that may need to be looked at, or your
Sure,
lesson
agreed.
plan.
Agreed. And that was of course a sidebar conversation of that. But when, was gaining feedback from different schools and just the relationships that I have. And I thought that was interesting, especially because that was an area that we were discussing on in previous board meetings. And yeah, lessons that we can learn from those that may have tried it, what we could do better. But maybe there wasn't enough organization around what more looked like and setting the foundation before going on to the next levels as well.
All right,
So I agree.
the item on the agenda is correcting the minutes. Is there any more revisions to the minutes?
That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Then we need a motion and we need a second. I was not there, so I cannot provide a motion.
You can still make a motion.
Can I? Okay, I prefer not to.
Okay, so anyone can make a motion
A motion to
Shannon or
approve board
Darcy?
minutes.
as amended.
With the amended, yeah.
Okay. I make a motion to approve board minutes as amended.
Okay. And second, okay, I guess I can second that.
Okay.
I second that.
All,
Sorry.
all in favor, Shannon,
Yes.
Darcy,
Yes.
and Olivia is a yes. Thank you. And we'll go over the executive minutes later. Let me put this down. Okay. Next on our agenda item, executive officers report. Is there anyone willing to testify? I don't see anybody in the gallery. Okay. Reese?
As such, so you see the March summary of the exam statistics.
Oh.
Let's see.
Actually, January and February. I didn't see March. Do we have March?
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
do
we
have
do.
March.
Okay, hold on. I did not.
It's in, what is that under?
Okay, you know what? I was looking at the
Executive
wrong.
officers report.
Okay,
Oh.
I was looking at the wrong file. Okay, I see it.
So
March.
yeah, you all saw the let's see, out of the 40 exams that were administered, 22 passed and 18 failed. And I think you all received the invitation for the follow-up meeting with PSI.
Mhm.
Okay, for the second item on my report, an update on the Hawaii Administrative Rules draft. So the next step is to send the rules draft to the Small Business Regulatory Board. Sorry, I forgot the whole acronym, but so I'm working on that, on the paperwork for that, and then I'll let you know when the rules are supposed to be scheduled for a hearing with that board. Yeah.
And will that be announced Reese, or will that be posted on the website?
I believe that they have to also post an agenda as well, but I can. I'll
But
let
it's
you-
not like they're gonna send out a postcard or anything like how,
I don't, so it's like how we do it, how we just post our agendas as state calendar.
okay,
And that's all for the executive officer's report.
thank you, Reese. I'm just making a little note here. Okay. And moving on. Anybody else have any comments, questions? Well, you know what? I see people in the gallery there. Do they want to introduce themselves? Is that,
You mean in the conference room?
yeah,
Oh, yeah, this is, I mean, they're here for this is the Federation of State Massage
Okay.
Therapy Boards.
okay,
I'll be presenting later on.
okay, great.
Yeah.
I see 3 people or 4 people, so,
There's kind of a lot, actually. I thought I was in the wrong.
okay. That's fine, that's fine. Okay, so moving on to applications. I looked at the ratification list and I moved to approve the ratification list. Can I get a second?
I'll second that. This is Darcy.
Thank you, Darcy. All in favor, Darcy,
Yes.
Shannon,
Yes.
and Olivia is a yes. Okay, let's move on to applications. And since we have one person, I want to just move that out of the way so we can, have more time to speak with the people in the gallery. So I move to go into executive session. Can I get a second, please?
I'll second that. It's Darcy.
Thank you, Darcy. All in favor, Darcy,
Aye.
Shannon,
Yes.
and Olivia is a yes. So we will see you all in a little bit. Huh, okay. The host has to turn on the video. Okay. I'm trying. Oh, there we go. Okie dokie. I'll just do a quick roll call in open session. I see you all, but you too. Just making sure you're there. Oh my God, I have to say, my brother-in-law left his French coffee press and I've been using it and I love it. I think I'm gonna go buy one.
Oh,
They're
I've always wanted
great.
one.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to figure out how to get one that I can take with me traveling.
A collapsible, foldable one.
I know, right? That would be awesome.
You should, yeah, you're onto something there, Olivia.
I know. I found disposable filters for your coffee cup. Now I gotta figure out how to do the other stuff.
We used to travel with our French press and a teeny immersion blender.
Oh, immersion
Oh.
blender. I have the little whippy thingy
Yeah,
for
yeah,
the
yeah.
milk, the milk frother.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's one more thing you gotta carry.
Well, I
And
traveled so
especially,
heavy.
and
Me and
especially when you're
recording.
limited, like Europe, they only limit you, well, you gotta pay for your luggage, but they limit you to like
Sorry to
one
interrupt,
bag. Oh, sorry.
but
Okay, looks like everybody's here. Hello. So we're back in session, okay? On our applications, we had one applicant. The applicant's situation was discussed and an agreement between DCCA and the applicant have been made to have the applicant take the exam by June 30, 2024. That is my motion. Can I get a second, please?
I'll second that. This is Shannon.
Thank you, Shannon. All in favor, Shannon,
Yes.
Darcy,
Yes, thank you.
and Olivia is a yes. Okay, moving on to new business. It looks like we do have visitors. Would
sorry,
you,
but about the executive session minutes.
oh, sorry, yes. I always look at that page last. Okay, can I get a motion to accept the executive session minutes?
Motion to accept the executive session minutes. This is Darcy.
Thank you, Darcy. And can I get a second?
This is Shannon. I'll second that.
Thank you, Shannon. All in favor, Darcy,
Yes.
Shannon,
Yes.
and Olivia is a yes. Okie dokie. Moving on to new business, we have some visitors today. If you would, introduce yourself.
My name is Craig Knowles. I am the president of the Federation of State Massage Therapy Boards. We also have in the gallery the rest of our board. I'll just introduce them if that's okay.
Sure.
Have Keith Warren, he's our vice president. We have Elizabeth Barnard, she's our treasurer. Oh yeah, and she's from Nevada. Keith is from Alabama. Karen Fraser from Kentucky.
Wow.
Fod Aranjad from also from Alabama. Caroline Guerin from Texas. Victoria Drago from Florida. And then we have our executive director, Deborah Persinger from Kansas. And I'm from Georgia.
Great. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having us. So go ahead.
So,
Okay.
they're gonna deliver a presentation about the Interstate Massage Compact, the growing fraud problems in massage regulation, and the work that the massage regulatory boards are doing to address national issues. Go ahead.
Okay. So, first and foremost, my name is, again, I am Craig Knowles. I am the president of the Federation, but I'm also the chair of the Georgia Board. I have been for the last 11 years. Just want to thank you for the opportunity to be here. Actually, somebody that was dear to me was from here. Her name was Pua Gillespie. I don't know if anybody knows her, but she worked with the Lomi Lomi School here. And she always showed me pictures and videos and talked about the spirit of the island. But they don't do justice to being here in person. So it's really been nice to be here. You know, and I know as a regulator, I have been for, I'm in my 12th year now as chair, and juggling work life and then trying to juggle home life and then take on this extra responsibility of being a regulator is quite difficult. And so just want to, on behalf of myself, the entire board, just you know, mahalo nui, just for all that extra self-sacrifice that y'all do and the hard work that you do. I know as a regulator, you don't ever see it. You definitely don't hear thank yous from the public. But the work you do makes a huge difference for the profession. So, you know, we are very thankful for the work that you do here on the islands. Now, when you're dealing with issues that you have to go with and you see, you know, sometimes it can feel like you're just alone. You're in the struggle by yourself. One thing that I've learned over my 12 years is that there are things that I have seen that I didn't sign up for. I just did not know this is what regulation had to deal with. You know, things that you're dealing with, fraudulent schools, fraudulent transcripts, trying to deal with even the weighty things like trafficking. Like, what do you do with these things? And it can be very overwhelming. And in my last 9 years with the Federation, it taught me that Georgia's not alone in the problems and the struggles that we've had. Being able to talk with other regulators, being able to network with other organizations. I found that most states are dealing with the exact same issues that we in Georgia deal with. And being able to work together, you know, sharing information with one another, with other networking with organizations. We've actually been able to eradicate a lot of the issues that we've had in our own state. You know, one of the things Pua always talked to me about was Ohana, you know, just the value of having family. And that's what I found in the Federation. The last 9 years that I've been with the Federation, they've been like my regulatory Ohana. You know, we've been able to really work together and have that unity where we don't have to feel like we're alone. So one of the things that we want to do, we are going to talk about some of those things that were mentioned, but one of the things that we wanted to do was to reach out to the Hawaii State Board and offer for y'all to be part of that federation, to come in and join and be a part of this regulatory community, to be one with us. You know, just because you are an island doesn't mean you're not a part of the profession, you're not a part of what we do as a community, a massage community. When it comes to what that does for the Hawaii State Board is when we ask you to be a part of the Federation of State Massage Therapy Boards and you become part of that community, your first year, there's no charge to the Hawaii Board at all. You would have the ability to be part of the Federation, be part of that support, to have all of the things that the support that we give to these state boards. You have it at no charge. These are things like news updates. We send out things monthly through our In Touch newsletter, so you can see regulatory updates, things that are going on in the profession. We also have monthly virtual member events where we have, sometimes it's topic discussions. It's all on Zoom. We do it once a month for our members to come on. It could be regulatory updates. It could be some human trafficking education. The topics are different every month, and that's free to all of the members. We offer legislative support. So if there's things that you are trying to get changed in your Practice Act, and like in my state, we can't lobby. It's against the law for the board to lobby, and that's the way most boards are. We have that access to reach out to the Federation to have someone lobby on our behalf for things that we need to see in our profession. So that's something that we offer to our member boards. We have help with continuing education. So we have 2 products. We have the CE registry, which is where we actually go ahead and vet the CE providers to make sure they meet national standards. So that way, if the board is going to require a licensee to take continuing ed, maybe it's a part of a sanction of something, you need some ethics hours, or you need some culture assessments, some type of continuing ed, we have that available. We also have what is known as the Regulatory Education and Competency Hub, which we call REACH. And we have continuing ed hours in there, like on ethics and things like that. And it could be when you're bringing on a new board member, how to be a good board member. What does it mean to be a board member? We have educational hours as well. And again, that's at no charge to our members. We also have what's known as, we call it Matilda. It's a massage therapy licensing database. So it is where you have the ability to share licensing information across state lines. Say someone was licensed in Georgia and they got their license revoked. Well, then they could try to run to another state. You could actually check all states. Has this individual ever had a license in a state that was revoked? And it helps with public protection from bringing a bad actor into your state board. One of the things that I actually appreciate, because I'm the school cognizant for my board, is I have to look at all the transcripts, not only in state, but also out of state. And so we have what is known as the Eligibility Review Committee. And so what they do is if I have a transcript that I'm not sure of, and maybe the licensing exam report and the transcript don't match, I can actually send that information to that review panel, and they can actually validate it for me to see if it's fraudulent or if it's actually legitimate. And it takes that regulatory burden away from the board. So that also is free to all of our members. And then, like I said before, being part of that federation, it opens up your borders to have access to other state boards, other executive directors, other regulators, to see what they're going through on their boards. Maybe some issues that they currently have, but they're working around that can help you. It just opens that network up to come up with viable solutions for what you got going on. So that's part of the presentations. We want to give that invitation to you to be a part of it. And like I said, it's at no cost. One of the other things that it does is we have an annual meeting every year. So it brings one delegate from each licensing board to that in-person annual meeting. And the federation pays for that delegate every single year. It wouldn't be just your first year. It's paid for. Your travel, your hotel, like all of your expenses to get there is paid for. So you can have that in-person meeting with other regulators, law enforcement, executive directors. We also have an executive director summit every year that's just for our executive directors. That is also covered to bring in one executive per board once a year to discuss things. So those are all, well, not all, those are kind of the highlights of the benefits of being on the federation. Being a member, because what we do is we support our member boards. We are here to help you with whatever you need. We're not here to tell you how to regulate your state. You know how to regulate your state. We're here to give support and help to make it easier for you to get your job done. That's already hard enough. And then after the first year, then there is it's like a $500 base fee. And then it's 40 cents per applicant, but it caps at $2,800.
What was that?
It's a $500 base fee and then 40 cents per licensee, but it caps at $2,800. But all of this, and then all of that stuff is covered with your membership. So you join your first year. If it's good for you, you stay. If it's not, no harm, no foul. You tried it out for a year with the access to all of those membership values.
28.
Yes, 28 would be max, but it's 40 cents per licensee.
Yeah, we would exceed that. So we would end up with the minimum. Question, you talked about Matilda.
Mhm.
What information do you provide that I cannot get if I go to a state's regulatory board?
So it gives you the licensing information, but what it does is, say I apply to Hawaii and I don't tell you I had a license in 4 other states. You're probably not going to find out. But what Matilda does, it puts all that state board information. So you just put in one piece of information that's public. It could just be an address. It could be, their Georgia license number. Like if you had mine's MT001606. So you put that in and it would populate anything else that was connected to that same. So you could see all the different states. So like on our application, it asked, are you licensed in any other state? Well, we've had people check no. And it's because their license got revoked. And we actually were able to find out through some public order, well, that's grounds for not to issue that license because they lied on a state document. So that's what Matilda would do. It would connect all the different state information plus any type of sanctions. Maybe someone applied but got denied a license. So they never were actually licensed. Well, that denial is a sanction. So it could give you that type of information to help you with determining whether or not you wanted to issue a license in your state. It wouldn't make the decision for you. It just puts the information together for you.
So would that information be available regardless if the state that that person is licensed in is not a member of FSMTB?
The way that works, they would have to participate in Matilda. So, Deborah Persinger is going to talk a little bit more of how that's connected with the compact, which was the portability piece, the interstate compact we've been working on the last couple of years with Department of Defense, because part of the one of the requirements to be part of the impact is you have to participate in Matilda. So anybody that is sharing that portability piece is protected and they're sharing that public information.
And actually, all the states are members of FSMTB. Hawaii's the odd one out. So, but if you choose not to be a member, it costs $5,000 to access Matilda. Financially, you can see it's cheaper to be a member and get all the benefits.
So I had the question, which I think you just answered. So is it just Hawaii that is?
Well, there are 3 unregulated states in the United
Okay.
States, Kansas, Wyoming, and Minnesota. So because they don't have statewide regulation, they're not eligible. You have to regulate.
Okay.
But states like California, that's not a license. They have the certification. They're still members.
Okay. So
How about Vermont? How about Vermont? Because Vermont was not licensed.
Yeah, so Vermont just recently got registration. They're not licensed. So they don't have a regulatory board there.
So
But they're a member
accepting,
though. Or they're not.
No.
No, they're not.
No.
oh, okay.
What?
So there's Hawaii and then 3 other states that are not members.
Okay.
And you say, was it 30 cents or 40 cents per applicant? When you say applicant, do you mean licensed massage therapist in the state?
Yeah, not applicants, per licensee.
Per active license.
Yeah, active license. So not inactives, not people aren't working anymore. It's just active licensees. So it's $500 base, then 40 cents per active Hawaii license. But it maxes out at 2,800. So if you had 10,000 active license, you still would go above 28.
So I think, as a board, we need to discuss this.
Oh yeah, we didn't need an answer today. This was just pretty.
Where the
No, we weren't making a decision today.
You can.
You can, you don't have to. But again, it's free. And just because you joined the first year, that's not one of those, and then there's a hidden thing. Now you have to be a member for 3 years. Like there's no hidden, text or anything. You try it out for a year. It's 100% free. You have access to all of the membership support. You get to come to the annual meeting. You have a voice and a vote to how your profession is run. Your delegate votes for you. So as a board, you decide on anything that's going on in the profession, and your delegate then is your voice at the table.
Okay.
You would have access to the MBE Summit, which is that Executive Directors Summit each year. You would have access to, the legislative support. Anything that members get, you would have access that first year to try out, reach, CE registry, all of it. And then if you see, this was a benefit, you stay a member. And then that would be what the fee would be.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm. And
Dr.
that's great.
Persinger, yeah, and Dr. Persinger, if you didn't have any more questions for me, she wanted to cover the impact and the licensing exam piece as well that we offer.
Sure. You're talking about the interstate compact?
Yes, the interstate compact and then the MBLEX, which is the massage therapy license, the body working licensing exam.
Okay. Thank
Thanks.
you.
One other add-on to what Craig said, though, that you may be interested in, we also have a board council, like the massage attorneys group that meets quarterly, and it's by virtual, you know, don't fly anywhere, but you may be interested in that.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, can you introduce yourself again? I didn't get your name.
Yes, happy to. Yes, Deborah Persinger. I'm the executive director of the FSMTB.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So I wanted to introduce or explain a little bit for the board about the Interstate Massage Compact. And so one of the reasons that we wanted to come and visit in person, I've had previous lovely conversations with Rissé, but for the board's benefit, the Federation received a grant from the Department of Defense to develop a interstate massage compact. I know you have a strong military presence in this state. Their interest is in supporting military families, because when they get posted to a new, area or new position, it's really difficult in general on the spouses who have to meet a new state requirement to get their massage license and wait, 6 months, take a test, or just jump through a lot of hoops. So that's why the Department of Defense has an interest in the Massage Compact and, sponsored this model statutory language. It is, however, it's not a federal thing because of Department of Defense. Each state has the prerogative to adopt the compact, and the state keeps the term used as state sovereignty. I'm looking at you because what, but regular people don't usually know what that means. But what it means is if somebody's practicing in Hawaii, they still have to abide by your rules, even though they come from another state. So it's looking at professional mobility. I was at a meeting last year, or Craig and I were in Washington, D.C., with one of your representatives, Senator Ron Kochi. It turns out he's the president of the Senate here in Hawaii. Anyway, so he was saying that it's been challenging for the workforce here to populate and support commerce here, and that Hawaii's leaving a lot of money on the table, proverbial table, because you don't have the workforce willing to come here or live here, and that this compact would be a huge solution to that problem. I was also speaking a couple of weeks ago with the spa director of a very high-end spa in your state with 4, I think, locations, also saying that they're struggling. It's very challenging to get a permanent workforce here. And so the compact would be a solution to, I guess, the plight, and it's not unique to the state. Across the country, I'm looking at Shannon's Massage Envy thing behind her on the screen. I was at the Massage Envy National Franchise Conference, and they are chomping at the bit for this compact to be able to get qualified licensed massage therapists who are willing to move and meet a uniform standard. So the basic tenets of the compact are that one has to have a massage education. So the therapist needs at least more, but at least 625 hours of education. I know you're a 570-hour state here, but that's a requirement of the therapist, not the state. So you would not be excluded even if you stay at your 570. It's the massage therapist who has to have 625 hours of education. Continuing education does count. So if they come out of school with 570 and do CE, they would be good to go. We actually, on a national survey, the average number of hours that a massage therapist is undertaking is 723 hours. So most massage therapists are far exceeding that 625 anyway. So there's the education, the examination is one key point, because it has to be a national examination, psychometrically sound, legally defensible, but the state exams would not qualify for the therapist to move around the country. So right now, Hawaii and New York are the two states that have your own state exam, and we're in conversation with New York. They're looking to move to the national standard as well. And there is a background check required because of the infiltration of the human trafficking into the massage profession and the fraud that the profession deals with in general. There is a background check required. And it's egregious things like, you can't have kidnapped somebody, no sexual, rape or anything. It's not like you got parking tickets. It's not, misdemeanor type level things. But anyway, the background check is a requirement. So they're the three main things in order to qualify for the compact, which most legitimate licensed massage therapists would meet. So that kind of segues into the other piece about the MBLEX. So the Federation develops and delivers the MBLEX is the Massage and Bodywork Licensing Exam. It's the acronym is MBLEX. But we develop and deliver that on behalf of our members. So again, there's zero cost to the state for using the MBLEX, and you get the benefits of being able to govern the exam. So you can have, well, we've got people in the room. So Karen is the chair of the exam policy committee. You can govern it in terms of finance committee if you're a member of the Federation. So you set the exam policy. You're welcome to attend any of the exam development meetings, ask questions. You get to see behind the scenes if you're a member. We also cover all the expenses for testing accommodations through the Americans with Disabilities Act. There's a fairly large portion of the massage therapy population that needs special testing accommodations. So we cover all of that. We cover the legal defensibility if anybody challenges the exam. If you're a member, we protect the MBLEX would be yours, intellectual property. We cover all the legal expenses on that. So essentially what I'm saying is there's zero cost to the taxpayers or to the state for adopting and using the MBLEX. And we do all that work on your behalf. But of course, if you're a member, you get to see more behind the scenes on that. So we're not here to say, drop what you're doing. We understand and honor Lomi Lomi and the history here of therapeutic touch, but it could be an option, and that would allow people from the mainland or licensed therapists from the mainland to come here and work and thrive here in a much easier, more uniform standard. So, and I'm happy to, answer any questions you have. I'm trying to give the abridged version because I know you're all busy and
Sure, thank you. I actually do have a couple of questions.
yes.
You mentioned that the average of education was 723 hours.
Yes.
One, how many states are a member of this compact? Two, how did you get that when 40 states require less than 700 hours of education?
So how many members have adopted the compact? Well, they don't have to be a member to adopt the compact, but so far Nevada. So Liz Barnard is the executive director of the Nevada State Board. She's also on our Federation Executive Board. I mean, the legislation, this is a new thing for massage therapy. The compact is just now available in 2024 to be adopted. I don't believe anybody's introduced it. Any legislation has been introduced in Hawaii, but the goal is to have all the states in the United States or regulated states to adopt the compact. But we need a minimum of 7 states, so 6 more to stand up the compact.
So is Nevada the only one that has adopted the compact?
So far, yes.
Oh.
I mean, there's legislation moving forward in several states. Alabama's another one. I'm trying to think now.
Nebraska, Wisconsin, Ohio, Kentucky, Virginia, Georgia, and Washington, as well as New York. There, they have pending
Yes.
legislation.
Yes, and there's actually a website, massagecompact.org, and that has a
Mhm.
map if you want to, keep tracking it. The Council of State Governments actually, is kind of spearheading the Massage Compact. They do the administrative side until the Compact Commission comes into being. So it's a work in progress, but I was just, because I'd met with your Senate president and that there seemed to be interest. I mean, not just because one person, so therefore we show up, but talking with your employers here as well. Both at Massage Envy and then other, different resorts here in the state. I thought, well, maybe this is something of interest to your board. And I wanted to let you know that the Federation has been working on solutions for, supporting the workforce and supporting industry. So there's a lot more we're happy to share, but, I just thought I'd give you the.
And just to be clear, this is not a product that's been around for 10 years that one
No.
state's got. It's only been available. Like, it was
Yes.
just created in the last 2 years. So this
Yes.
is the first year that states are putting things up. So,
Correct.
it takes time to introduce stuff to House and Senate and get it through committees and all that. But we feel that it'll be, have it 7 or more, by next year.
True.
And the good thing is the first 7 that adopt it get a seat on the commission to regulate the compact from the beginning. So the first 7 states will fill the first 7 seats of that compact commission that will regulate it.
So how did you calculate the 723 hours of education? Was that based on the states that were interested in this compact? Because 40 of them require less than 700 hours of education.
Mhm. So the compact requirement is the 625 hours, and that comes from the entry-level analysis project that the 7
Mhm.
national massage organizations did. So the 700 wasn't an issue. And in terms of calculating, honestly, we use basic arithmetic. We added up the number of hours that each school program is teaching and divided by the number that replied. It was a national survey that the Federation did. We surveyed all the schools in the US.
Yeah, it wasn't based on state minimums. It's
Yeah.
based on what the schools are actually doing. Like for Georgia,
Okay.
our minimum is 500.
Correct.
But we have 19 schools, 17 of them are 600 or more hours. So it was based on what the schools are actually supplying, not what the state minimums are.
Yeah. Mhm.
Mhm.
So that was the average school programs was 723.
I get it. So I know that I know you're going to talk about the NBLEX exam, and I know this from the past. I'm not sure where it's at today, but there were 2 states that had apprenticeships, and if I'm not mistaken, I had a student that did try to apply, couldn't get in because they did not go to a state sanctioned school or nationally approved school. They went through an apprenticeship. Has that changed, and are they accepting applications? Because Hawaii has a lot of apprentices that work directly under a lomi kumu. They do not go by way of a state approved massage school.
So in terms of eligibility for the NBLEX, the Federation does allow that. The individual states, though, the state licensing boards, if they do not accept apprenticeship, we have no influence. Like we have no authority, legislative authority. We're kind of the air traffic control of state boards. So we're a clearinghouse of information and support. We consolidate, the cumulative wisdom of state licensing boards, but we don't get to judge who can be licensed by apprenticeship or not. That would be a function of the individual state, statutory or rule requirements.
Sure,
But as
as
far as we're concerned, yeah.
as instructors here, we tell the students if they get their license in Hawaii through an apprenticeship, we encourage them to take the NBLEX exam so they can take it with them to the next state. So the NBLEX requires 500 hours. So if they go to a state that requires 750, or Nebraska that requires 1,000, they would have to get additional education to qualify for their licensing there. And so I understand the background on this compact, and I have been involved in the discussions as well as the entry-level analysis project from 2013. So I'm, I've been involved in some of that discussion. So where I know that as far as the compact, I've talked to at least 20 representatives from different states in the education and government relations. And I know that some of them are reluctant because of the education requirements. So
Yes.
what direction is that going into?
Yes, so I think I know there's a source of confusion because people think that the 625-hour requirement is a state requirement, and it's not. So you could be, there are 500-hour states like Texas who are eligible. It's the actual individual therapist that needs the 625. And like I said, continuing education does count. In order to qualify for the MBLEX, you don't need 500 hours. We don't have any requirement. It's the state that decides that. So if somebody came from Hawaii and they went through your apprenticeship program that's authorized or overseen by you, then they're golden. That's it. It's easy. The thing with the compact that would help is that the compact is an agreement among all the states that participate that, okay, we'll accept this standard. So if Nebraska, because you mentioned that example, they have a minimum 1,000-hour requirement, by joining the compact, they're saying, okay, we're good with somebody coming in with the compact privilege to practice, even though they've only got 625 and we're a 1,000-hour state. So that's the point of the compact, that they all agree on this uniform standard.
That's why the language says 625 hours of education. It doesn't say how you got that education. It doesn't say if it was an entry-level program. It doesn't say if it's an apprenticeship program. It doesn't say if it's continuing ed. The compact language specifically said 625 hours of massage education. So that way it was more broad versus narrowing down it. You had to go to an entry-level program. So it makes it available for, Hawaiians that did the apprenticeship program to be able to access that compact.
Yeah, it's statutory language is intentionally vague. I mean, it's prescriptive but vague, so that the state gets to decide if they're good for you, then they're good for the compact. That's the state sovereignty piece.
Adopting the ability to accept the MBLEX doesn't mean you're replacing your state exam either, because again, there's other states, Mississippi, Texas, that have state exams. They just also accept the MBLEX. So by accepting the MBLEX, that you check that box for the compact. It doesn't mean you're getting rid of your state one. It just, we also accept this one as well. And when it comes to, when you asked about people applying to be able to take the MBLEX, the Federation's job is not to tell state boards who qualifies. We support the state board, so the state board tells us who qualifies. So if a school is an apprenticeship or it's a brick and mortar, if they're accepted in your state, they qualify for the MBLEX. But if someone opened up a school that say, y'all unrecognized, even though they're still up and running, they would not have access to the MBLEX because you say it's not a good program. So you actually get to are the gatekeepers to the MBLEX for your own state. You don't lose that authority. And that's what some were worried about. If we move away from our own state exam, we lose that authority, but you don't, because the MBLEX would become your property when you're a member. So you get to say, yes, they can take it. No, they can't.
I know for the compact itself, it was hard for people crossing states to get their license. Hawaii enacted a statute that allows military dependents to get a temporary license with their spouse or their military orders. So are there other states that do that?
Yes.
There are other states that do that. However, the Department of Defense recognizes the compacts for other professions as well as massage as what they call gold standard. So, I mean, this grant was like $1 million. I mean, they're sinking a lot of effort and, you know, resources into this compact. So the Department of Defense, although some states have those provisions, the other advantage about the compact, in addition to DoD recognizing it as the gold standard for their military workforce and warforce, is that the compact is open to all massage therapists, not just military, you know, LMTs who are military spouses. So everybody gets the kind of like TSA pre-check. You go through the fast lane if you qualify and you're in good standing.
That's when the state adopts the compact, correct?
Yes, yeah, your state legislature would, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a little different. Okay.
I wanted to just create a little distinction for those of us who might be new to this. I know, Olivia, you are, you've been ensconced in the board and all of this for decades and decades, and we just so appreciate you. And, so I just wanted to make a couple of distinctions for clarity for myself and other newcomers. So the Federation is one thing, but the interstate compact is basically, I'm reading from the website here. An interstate compact is a contract among two or more states creating an agreement on a particular policy issue, adopting certain standards, or cooperating on regional or national matters. Compacts are powerful, durable, and adaptive tools for ensuring cooperation among states, and other professions have been using these compacts in, you know, for instance, in the medical field and counseling field and such. But the distinction here is that there's the Federation. Did the Federation create the compact? Is that? And then I also had another question about the funding. You said there was a grant of, you know, $1 million. Is that what's, you know, paying for travel expenses, or, you know, so those are two separate questions and comments.
Yeah, really good question. So the Federation, our members are the state licensing or state regulatory boards for massage therapy. We had an interest in the compact to protect or advocate for the rights of the massage regulatory community, so that a compact, like for example, by contrast, cosmetology, the people leading their compact are the barbicide people, you know, that blue stuff people put their combs in, the disinfectant thing. So we felt it was important for massage regulation that the massage regulators had a voice and a role in this. So that's why the Federation applied for the grant. It was administered through the Council of State Governments, which is, I don't know if you're familiar, but anyway, it's a nonpartisan group. And they've been developing, you know, they developed the nursing compact, the medical compact, occupational therapy,
Physical therapy.
Physical therapy.
Yeah, so it's other professions. This is nothing just unique for massage therapy. So, and what the funds were used for is we had technical advisory groups. They flew people out to, you know, Washington, DC, or various places they met, and online. And then, of course, a lot of attorneys are involved. All due respect to attorneys, but you know, it's important that you do the 360 evaluation and don't create unintended consequences with, you know, good intended ideas. So so we had representation from the regulatory community, from obviously the legal board council aspect, state DOGs, regulators, legislators were represented.
Licensees there were subject matter educators, you know, subject matter experts, people like Susan Salvo that, you know, writes the massage manual. She was present. Deborah and I were present for every meeting. So it wasn't just regulators, it wasn't just attorneys, it wasn't just licensees. It was, Deborah says, that eclectic 360 view And it was a 2-year process. Like, it wasn't one day we sat around table and banged this out. Like, it was a lot. And then it went out to the public for public comment for 3 to 4 months to get public comment. And then it came back to the technical assistant group to go over all the comments to see if, fine tune this. And then it went to the attorneys and the executive directors to kind of look at that piece of it. And then before we got to the final product. So that's why it was, like I said, it hasn't been around for 10 years. Like, it was almost a 2-year development. So now it's to the point that Nevada adopted it last year, and then there's multiple states this year trying to get it through.
Yeah.
Okay, but now my question is, what would this provide our profession other than maybe a few days, a few weeks or something of time that they get their license? What does this provide except more, I don't know, oversight?
Portability. It's
So-
portability
More
is what they're looking
portability,
for.
or, that the MBLEX, also provides that. But what else does it really provide other than more oversight for the government, with all due respect?
So there's actually a couple of things. It's portability. So you're reducing the regulatory burden to be able to move back and forth. There's a financial piece. So say I have, 3 or 4 licenses because I live in a corner and I got Georgia, Texas, Alabama, South Carolina. Well, now I'm not paying for 4 separate licenses. So it helps the individual be able to move around. Like, I have friends that they go to Nevada during World Series of Poker. So they have to have a Nevada license, but they're only there a few weeks a year. And then they're back in another state. So it keeps the financial piece for the licensee. For the state board, there's also a trackability piece. See, if I'm living in Georgia, I can get a license in North Carolina, never set foot in North Carolina. I meet all the standards for North Carolina. I can apply online. I can send in all my stuff and I can get a license. Say 1 month I want to go work in North Carolina. North Carolina doesn't know that I'm in their state working. If something were to happen, I were to do something was reported to the North Carolina board, they can't find me. They don't know where I am. They can't do anything. I come back to Georgia. Georgia can't do anything because I didn't do anything in Georgia. So now both licenses are in good standing. Nothing happens. With the compact, there's language built in to protect the state's sovereignty. If I have my license in Georgia, and you have to get the compact through a home state, and your home state has to stay in good standing. That's the way all compacts are. So I get my license in Georgia. It stays in good standing. I get the compact license. North Carolina is part of the compact. Now I can go to North Carolina. I can work there. I don't need to notify the board. I don't have to fill out any forms. I don't have to pay any additional fees. I can go work there. If I do something in North Carolina and I leave, and that's reported that this individual, I did something in North Carolina does not have to spend the resources to try to hunt me down and to find me. They contact, let me finish. They contact the Compact Commission and they take the burden of finding me. They notify my home state, and then my home state can sanction me for what I did in North Carolina. And so that gives those states that are part of it that protective piece that they currently do not have.
Right. So my question, with so much respect, is, how many instances does this actually really happen? What are the benefits to the massage therapist, to us honest, massage therapists, rather than more government oversight? Do we really need more government oversight?
So you wear 2 hats right now. So your regulatory hat, it gives you that trackability and public protection piece. With your professional hat, it gives you a financial relief. It gives you regulatory burden relief. You don't have to pay these extra fees. If you're not going to leave Hawaii, you're only working in Hawaii, it's an option. You don't have to get the compact just because your state adopts it. It's available if you want to have that portability. You don't want the portability, you don't need it, and it doesn't affect you at all. But for those that do want to move around, it removes that financial burden and it removes that regulatory burden. Now, in Hawaii, you may be able to process a license in, you said, a week or two. Many states aren't like that because they don't have the help. It's 30, 60, 90 days to get a license. With this portability piece, you cut all of that out. I have a compact anywhere that's in it. I can go work day one. I don't have to wait 30 days. And how am I going to pay my bill? Like that's what it helps, how it helps the licensee.
Darcy, the question about.
I heard that point, your 2 points, I'm thinking this is a minority of the people that it would benefit. And I don't mean to play devil's advocate, but just for the expense, it's such a small minority that it would actually benefit. That's my thinking. I don't know, I'm just one little.
In addition to the military side of things and all their dependents or families moving around the country, and you don't have this issue here, but in the mainland, many therapists work across state lines, or they might live somewhere and drive across a bridge and they're in another state. So that's not uncommon. It's not uncommon for massage therapists to do seasonal work. I think 2/3, maybe Victoria, of the licensees in Florida don't actually live in Florida. They follow what we call the snowbirds coming down. So the spa industry, which is a $23 billion industry with the B in the United States, is really, to use their term, in desperate need of some relief. Or, the compact, I'm not saying it's the choirs of angels will sing or something, but it will definitely provide relief and assistance in the employment area. And there's, like you say, the one-offs. There was a therapist called me whose daughter was having this is more than we probably need to know, but like a difficult pregnancy. She wanted to go and support her daughter and needed to work while she was there, but it was going to take longer to get the license than if she just didn't go or wasn't there or wasn't working. So there are lots of examples of therapists who might want to just, I think I'll work in this, massage envy or whatever, wherever they want to work. And then now I'll spend a month here, or, in their retirement, they can just, if they have the multi-state license. But it's an option. It's not for everybody. It's not necessary for everybody, but it seriously reduces government burdens on the therapist.
Question, you talk about a multi-state license. So is that something that
would be the compact
issue?
No, there will be, once 7 states adopt it, then a compact commission is stood up or in existence. It's the commission that would issue it. Now, people on the commission are state massage board executives. So massage regulation obviously is inherent in the process, but it's not FSMTB.
Sure. Craig mentioned a financial burden is lifted when you practice in more than one state. I know for a fact, more than a dozen of my friends practice in DC, Maryland, and so forth. They still have to pay for their license in each state that they operate in. So what financial burden is lifted that you were talking about?
They no longer have to pay for those. So for a compact, you have to have home state in good standing, then the compact, and that's it. So your friends there would just, whatever home state they're in, they would have that license, then their compact license, and no more. So they're only dealing with one standard. Yeah,
that's if the states adopt it, correct? But if a state does not adopt it and they are licensed in that state, that doesn't apply, correct?
Correct. It's their home state and then the state that they want to work in.
Right. Okay.
And that's why the more that join it, the better. And that's why the educational standard was set the way it was at 625, because as you mentioned, 40 states are 650 or less. So we are hitting
700 or less. Yeah.
Are hitting, we're hitting the majority with that 625 educational standard. Because if you have no educational standard, then states aren't going to join it, because a 700-hour state isn't going to want somebody who only went to a 500-hour state. I mean, that came up in our tag meetings. So by setting that standard there, your 650s, 25 hours, that's comparable. 150 hours isn't. So, you know, that's why the ELAP standard was set as the minimum standards for that educational piece to help more states want to adopt the compact to make it, because, you know, a compact's only as good as portable as it is. So if you got 7 states, it's not as beneficial as 35 states. So.
Sure, sure. Okey doke. I'm good. Anybody else have any other questions? You want to move on to the next subject?
Can I just say thank you for hosting us, for allowing us to be here and visit with you. And, you know, we're available if you have questions. You can just call anytime. It's not just one and done. But we appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Yeah, we hope you take us up on the 1 year free. Come see what the Federation can do for you. And then you can
curious
always
if-
decide from there.
If Chris or
Thank you.
Shannon had any questions.
Sorry?
I'm curious if Shannon or Chris had, are legal.
You can contact us. I'll send you whatever you want. Yeah.
No, it's been great listening in, and I can see why Massage Envy as a nation is in support of this. I think for me personally, and just things that I think we'll have to really consider as a board and as a state, is what I'm really passionate about is hiring local residents and protecting our Hawaii massage industry. And we live in a tourist destination as well. And that is something I would never want to take away from the single mom living in Maui, that this is her bread and butter, when others could have that flexibility, a huge luxury as a massage therapist to say, hey, I'm licensed in Nevada, I'm going to live in Hawaii for 3 months. And that's a benefit to them. Absolutely. But what does it take away from our local residents and people in our industry that would take away from their opportunities? So that's where I stand on that. Massage Envy Hawaii definitely is supporting local residents as well. So I think that's a lot to consider with a compact that really could impact our local massage therapist. Yeah.
You know, one more thought I had with discussions from several states. So this was the discussion around the table last year when I was in a conference. So say I'm licensed in Hawaii, and heaven forbid I do something unlawful. I have dual license. I can go practice in California or Oregon. I go there. I commit the same whatever error. Who is responsible? The home state, correct?
Where you commit the infraction, you could be sanctioned as well. So,
Correct. But ultimately, the financial impact will go to whom? Both states or just the home state?
Compact Commission.
It would be the commission. I mean, that where you commit the infraction, that state board, it depends on the degree of it. If they need to do investigations, they could take away, as soon as you do something in a compact state, your compact license will be yanked. It'll be taken away. It's up to your home state if they say, yeah, that's okay with us, though. We're not going to take away your home. And they might say, gosh, this is so egregious. No, you're losing your home state as well. It's like with the driver's licenses, probably the compact everybody participates in without knowing they're in a compact. If you go to a state where you're not allowed to turn right on red, and you turn right on red just because you can at home, you're still going to get a ticket in that new state. That's where the state sovereignty comes in. You still have to follow the laws in the state in which you practice.
Okay.
So
I think the discussion revolved around someone being convicted of lewd and lascivious acts.
Yeah. So if you're
Yeah.
convicted of that, you'd automatically lose your compact license.
Yeah.
The compact commission could not revoke your home state license. Your home state would have to do that because that's property that that state issued to you.
Yeah.
Sure.
But it doesn't matter if you don't commit it in your home state. If you commit it in any other state, that's an
Okay.
automatic revocation of your compact for all states, not just that state. It's an automatic revocation.
Okay.
And your home state deals with you with your home state license.
Okay. Yeah, that was,
But then
that was
there's
a
full
huge discussion.
transparency. There's
Yeah.
full transparency. All the states would be involved with Matilda and everybody would know.
Mm, okay.
That's the other thing is that trackability piece. There is no hiding across state lines. Oh, I did it over here in Nevada, so I'm not gonna go there anymore. I'm just gonna go to Washington, like Washington would know.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. I was just curious because the discussion I was in was very animated, to say the least. I'm sure
But
you
again,
can
being a
attest to that.
participant in with the federation doesn't mean you automatically adopt the compact. That still would be a state by state decision.
Sure, I get that.
So
Okay,
we're here to support you in every way that we can, in whatever way that you feel is best for your state. That's what the whole point of having the federation's about.
great.
Well, thank you for your time. Mahalo.
Sitting with
Thank you.
us.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming
Thank you.
Thank you.
so far.
Don't mind signing in if you haven't already.
We're all in.
Oh, thank you. Okay,
We're all in.
thank you so much.
Great, thank you.
Hope
Enjoy
you-
Hawaii.
I know that's exactly what I was gonna say. We hope you enjoy Hawaii while you're here.
Thanks so much for the information.
Yeah, we're happy to answer anything else. So as y'all are discussing, you have other questions, just contact us.
Will
Sure.
do.
Thank you.
Thank
very
you.
Service.
Hey.
Bye-bye.
Enjoy your time.
Bye-bye.
That was very informative.
Hmm. I
Our
find,
conference room looks normal.
okay,
Everybody's gone now.
I,
They brought the crowd for sure. It shows
I-
how much that they
So many
care to
people.
personally come here.
I
Well, for
really
the- for the
find
whole
it,
board.
Yeah, for the
They
whole
did, they
board.
didn't all have to come here.
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah. I find it really puzzling that they mention only Nevada joined in. Nevada requires 550 hours of education. So I know that a lot of the other states, like I said in my March written testimony to you guys, just to give you an idea, the 7 other states that are submitting legislation, right now, nobody's buying into it just yet. Just FYI, that's just an update from me, because I am involved in, you know,
New.
Yeah, I think for the,
Compact is new.
yeah, the massage compact, like they were saying, right? The massage compact
Yeah.
specifically is very new.
Yeah.
Even I wasn't gonna say, but we have all the other other
Correct.
compacts for all the other
UT,
professions.
nursing, yeah.
There were,
Correct.
there were a whole bunch of them that just,
Yep.
I think they were only introduced last year.
correct. The
And-
nursing and physical therapists were introduced in last year's legislative session.
Yeah,
I've been
no.
watching them.
There were like 12 of them.
Yeah, there's more this year. There's more this year. I only saw 2 last year.
No. They were all because I have some of them.
Oh,
They
okay.
were all introduced last year. Yeah,
Oh,
and
cool.
for various reasons, right? I mean, a lot of them got held up. Only the medical one passed last year. And then
Yeah.
this year, the legislature obviously has other priorities, but I know they took up the nursing one, and the nursing one is supposed to have passed this year.
Hmm.
There's a lot more out there, right, for different professions. So
Yeah, I think what we need to, look at and decide, and if possible, because I've done presentations to our state board before about joining FSMTB, and I know there's a fee. And it looks like they kind of dropped the fee, that the max is 2,800, because before, when I presented it 10 years ago, maybe, was 3,500.
Yeah, so it's not the board. The board doesn't have its own.
yeah, the board doesn't have its own
Yeah.
money. So that
It's
is
a TA decision that will
Sure.
have to.
yeah. And I
So
mean, I'm
is-
actually sorry. No, I was actually surprised to hear that we're not part of the federation, because with other boards, the boards do belong to, and it's not mandatory, but other boards
Sure.
right? You belong to the organization of, the
Sure.
national organization of boards
Yeah,
for that
I
session.
I
So,
get that, but when I presented it almost 10 years ago, I did it twice.
uh-huh.
It was
Oh,
the
okay.
the annual fee was in question.
Okay, so yeah, that is a
Any-
DCCA question.
Yeah, so is it DCCA's decision to join or not? Or is it ours?
It would be, well, you guys would make the motion and the proposal, then ultimately it's DCCA, because that's where they're gonna have to end up paying for this.
Yeah,
Ship, for the FSMTB thing. The
Correct.
compact thing would also have implications for PVL, because we would have to create a separate something else. We would have to update the database to be able to process
Right.
these compact
Right.
licenses, and then yeah, just those financial things,
Okay.
operational.
I like their presentation and I'd be willing to make a motion to agree to try them for a year at no fee and to see if if it's something that we want to continue.
I have some concerns and I wanted to talk a little bit more about our concerns and
Sure.
maybe have the rest of the board here also to represent, Shannon, I wanted to dovetail on what you said, I don't know what's going on where you guys live, but here we have a tremendous housing crisis. And locals can't even find housing. I know so many locals who can't find housing and they're talking, their benefits are portability. And I get that. And I think that it's, infringing on, I would never want to infringe on jobs, or housing situation here. Again, I don't know what it's like over there. And, my other
When you
concern,
say over there, what do you mean?
well, I'm on Kauai.
Oh,
And
We
Maui's
have-
very similar right now after the fires. I have a lot of employees in that same situation.
It's really hard. So those are some of my concerns that I mentioned. It seems like more oversight, more expense and more complexity when we can fulfill most of that here with us. Like for the military, we have a caveat, for that now.
Darcy, to
No,
clarify,
we could,
you're talking about the compact,
talking
right?
about the compact, right?
the
FSMTB is separate.
FSBTB, yeah,
It's
is
separate.
Is separate.
that trial to network to have the resources that we could
It's separate.
determine is separate from us going into a
The compact.
compact.
Yeah, so the benefits of joining in the federation are to, I don't know, have legislative support. I sharing licensing information.
Yeah, that would be what they offer. They just
Travel
offer
expenses,
services.
yeah, travel expenses covered with a delegation. I mean, so my concern here was, I have three concerns. One is taking jobs away, for the compact.
So
The
they're
second
separate
one
things,
is
Darcy. One
increasing,
is the compact and one is just this little.
yeah.
Yeah.
Joining-
Darcy, they are not together. They are individual.
No, I
Yeah.
get it. I get that. But the federation basically, I mean, I'm not seeing. What benefits do you guys see that we don't really have except sharing information, and how many instances do we have where we have these, hardened criminals that we need to catch them at something in a, across state lines or something?
I can tell you that in the past 8 years, there's been more and more people coming to Hawaii to get their massage license. We
Mm.
don't know their background if they do not provide anything.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something the state can require as a background check to be licensed?
It is. It is part of the application that they're supposed to indicate if they're convicted in any state, but we've had people lie on their
Lie.
application.
Sure.
And we
I
don't know, we don't,
Yeah, we personally, do background checks on everyone that we hire for a service provider position. To go back to the question of us doing the trial of the federation, how many other states are in that? I'm sure they mentioned it, but I don't recall.
Well, they said that Hawaii is like one of the few states that
That
they're
isn't.
the
There are
only
3
regulatory
states.
state that's not participating. in
They said, yeah,
Oh,
Hawaii,
three.
Hawaii plus.
Hawaii
the other
plus
states.
3 other
Plus
states.
3 other states that don't have regulatory. So we're
Hawaii-
the only state with regulation that isn't a part of it. So why wouldn't we want to be a part of that when the whole nation is?
Mhm.
Great question. Great question, because I did pose that to past board members. Before Reese, before Nichols, it was when Leanne and I were working together. But there's no cost to us to try them for a
Yeah.
year. So
Yeah, what's
I
the
would-
what would hurt to try?
yeah, I would like to
And
try
then we
them.
could, if it's something we could say, yes, we like this, no, we don't, we can, and then if we want to present to continue this, and we can actually say we've experienced it for a year. Here's how it's helped our board. Here's how it's helped our industry. Here's why we need this, because we've actually experienced it coming from that angle than just saying we want it because everyone else is doing it.
Yeah. That's not my reason. My reason was to
Sure.
test them out.
Yeah, let's test it out. I agree.
What,
Olivia
where,
made a motion. Is
Mhm.
is anyone going to second that?
My
um,
motion is to try them for 1 year at no fee.
I second that, Olivia. This is Shannon.
Okay. All in favor? Shannon?
Yes.
Darcy, what do you think?
I'm not quite ready yet.
Okay. All right. So is your answer no?
Yes, my answer is
Okay, so that motion will
So-
not pass.
Correct. So
So-
Olivia's a yes.
Yeah.
But this motion will not pass because we do not have. So what are your reservations, Darcy? Just curious.
yeah, I shared them before. I'm not sure what this would give us as a board. And then moving forward, where would the money come from? 2,800, where would that money come from?
That's why it's up to DCCA.
Yeah, it's not our decision. It's not our decision after the first year, okay? But we do pay, part of our license fee goes into an education fund. Okay,
Well,
they
so the
provide
advanced-
support in education, they provide legal counseling, among Matilda and Reach.
And then
Which I
monthly
find interesting.
one thing that really stood out to me was the monthly topics and discussions, because I'm a new board member and I'm learning and hearing from that experience from those that have been in our shoes for a lot longer, and maybe, I think we're a lot more alike than different. I think the very issues that we're going to be facing are issues that they may have already faced, and we can learn from them. And I
Mhm.
think that exposure for me as a new board member would actually help me in my role of serving better as I'm learning, especially. So I think that would be a benefit. And then the Matilda, I think experimenting with that and having access to it and just seeing, I think, test driving something out before we make a commitment
Mhm.
is wise. And I appreciate that they're actually giving us that opportunity. They obviously believe in it enough to give us that chance to try it for free.
Mhm.
And other boards are a part of it. I mean, if we wanted to pose the question and go to other states that are a part of the federation and ask them what they benefit from it and why they choose to stay involved and pay, that might be questions we can pose and research we can do outside of this.
Okay, so we'll table that. We can do another vote.
Yeah, you can put it
When
on
we
the
have a full board, perhaps,
next
or a
agenda.
discussion.
So we do still have a few more items on the
Yes.
agenda that we should probably discuss.
Yep.
I don't know if can we move the continuing education renewal requirements? Talk about that first, because I
Okay, sure.
have pending responses for that.
Okay, go ahead, Reese.
So if you look at the document provided in your board, the OneDrive, the board packet, we had a inquiry on whether the board will, at least for CE, consider allowing the 2 hours of first aid, CPR, or other emergency related course just to be done online.
Mhm.
The concern was that some people have concerns with going in person when they are themselves immunocompromised and are living with immunocompromised household members. So they were asking for this renewal cycle if they could do the CPR online. I know that during COVID, if you look at the June 2020 minutes, the board still required applicants to complete the initial licensure CPR course in person. So as this is CE, just wanted to bring this to the board's discussion or for consideration, so that I can provide a response to these people and also others who have been asking as well.
Okay. Your thoughts? Darcy, Shannon?
Are you
I
gonna say?
think that there, I think that there should be some accommodation. It's not like the first time, or maybe not even the second or third time that they've taken CPR. I've taken it several times personally, years ago in Florida. Here, I did a CERT program. I think there should be some accommodations, like after we take CPR, and I think, I'd be okay with being online, especially in instances of people who are immunocompromised.
So the other thing is go ahead, Chris.
Oh, well, the only thing I was gonna say is that, this is not specific to first aid or CPR, but because this is in the context of CE, that we just have to be careful, not to rely on anything that's in the new rules because they haven't actually passed yet, right?
Sure.
So, so even though there is a CE renewal or CE requirement for this year, right, 2024, all we can hold people to is what's in the statute,
Or
right?
in the rules,
Oh,
yeah.
Well, or in the current rules.
Yeah, so in our draft rules are the ones that are going through the administrative process. The board had clarified that the CPR should be in person for both initial licensure and CE. That's the current draft that's going through.
Sure.
It has not been formally adopted yet, as it is still in the process.
Okay.
So what Chris is saying is that at least for CE, it would be hard to say, oh, no, we definitely cannot accept online right now because it's still in the process of being adopted.
Let's do this, okay? This is our first renewal with the CE requirement.
Mhm.
I would say allow them this round, okay, until our rules are finalized. Once it's finalized, and we may need to take a look at it again, but I remember discussing synchronous classes. Do you guys know what that is? So a synchronous class and asynchronous classes is where they can take, if they're not performing or they're not in a live class, they need to be able to have instant rapport with the instructor. So they need to have a setup, a video camera feed to the instructor so the instructor can see what they're doing. That procedure for quote live or hands-on classes was adopted during COVID. And I would want to see something like that continued if you have people that are immunocompromised. So I want to make sure that that's in our language. And I would be okay with accepting that.
I know one of our schools here locally does a lot of online classes. There's the class, there's,
Mhm.
you know, and there's the teacher, you know, and on the, you know, monitor. And that's we're not talking about necessarily CPR here, but just, you know, classes. So
Is it didactic or is it practical?
that's a good question. I don't know. I don't know what
Most
the
of the ones I've seen are didactic.
uh-huh.
The practicals have at least a few hours of live with it. They may do an online portion beforehand, and then they meet and they do a live practice. I see that a lot, which is a hybrid, which I think is really good. But for people that cannot attend live classes, I want to be able to give them that opportunity to do it synchronously.
Is there anything in the rules about that?
We need to double check. I don't have the draft in front of me. I need to go back to some of my,
believe that for the CE courses, that the what did you say?
synchronicity.
Asynchronous, yeah, so asynchronous classes for CE are allowed, but it's for specifically the CPR, first aid, and what was the other emergency related course? It does say in person.
The first
It
aid.
hasn't been
first
adopted
aid.
yet.
Can you
Yeah.
say that one more time? I was writing notes and I
Mhm.
spaced out. Resay,
So,
can you say that one more time?
Specifically for CPR, first aid, and other emergency related course, the language in the current rule or in the draft rule says that that 2-hour course has to be in person. But for the other 10 remaining CEs, it can be online, including asynchronous courses that counts too.
Asynchronous, so when there's something happening, when the instructor can see you,
Yeah, when it's happening like how we are talking right now.
yeah, that's allowed too.
Yes.
Oh, it's
Or-
actually synchronous. Asynchronous, a student learns on their own, which is like the
Oh, I
online
see.
class. So it's synchronous classes that we want to add in to allow for future CEs.
Well, we have to take a look at the language again, then I
Yeah,
think.
that's what I said. We
But-
need to
Now,
take a look at that.
question, the
True.
way I read this email is that they were asking, can this be participated with American Red Cross and American Heart Association online courses? So when you go online, they have hybrid options, they have, you know, in-person options, and they have the online option, which I
Online only.
thought is a module that they go
Yeah.
through.
Correct.
That's how I'm reading this. So what I'm hearing is we don't want to accept just an online module, that there needs to be an instruction given and a practical, is that
Of some sort, yeah.
of some sort? Okay.
And that's where the synchronous learning comes in. Like I said, that was adopted during COVID, yeah, since people were not allowed to leave their homes. So there were a lot of instructors that had their classes approved nationally, you know, to provide it synchronously. And we have made, Hawaii as well, have made exceptions to that for students that were acquiring their basic education to apply for their license. We allowed them to do synchronous learning, especially with their practical training. Because how can you learn massage by just watching a video? So that's where we said it needed to be synchronous education that we would accept.
Have an in-person training component, right? So you'll accept a blended course where they have the instruction video like this, but they have to get the certification. They got to come in person and have some kind of practice, right?
Well, instead of in person, allow synchronous teaching.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see what you mean.
So is that
So-
resource available through the American Red Cross and
Yes,
Heart Association?
is.
Okay.
It is. So with American Red Cross and ARC, for the CPR classes, there's a 3-hour online class and then there's a 3-hour practice class. So it doesn't matter which way you do it, but there's a practical way to do it. And some of the instructors are allowing synchronous learning, meaning they will Zoom with the instructor, they will practice on their partner, and the instructor will time them and everything.
I guess my main concern is those interpreting that incorrectly and those just going online, doing a module and thinking, oh, I'm done with my CPR, and it's not what we're looking for.
Yeah, but when you apply for the online classes, there is a portion where they have to show they're practicing, either go in person or do a video or something. The thing with American Heart Association, I mean, yeah, I've taken it since 19 whatever, but you know what? The rules have changed. In 2015, they changed the standards and they changed the order of CPR protocol. So, I'd rather be helped by someone with current protocols, because American Heart Association did a study and they said that changing the protocol from ABC to CAB actually saved almost 38% more lives.
Wow. Okay,
So-
so for this particular, for this
For CEs,
email,
I think, so this time around, we will accept them for just the June 30, 2024 renewal. And they would have to check back again for the 2026 renewal, because we have legislation that is going through the hoops.
yeah, the
currently.
rule draft is still pending. The
Yeah.
rule draft is still pending. So, so you'll accept an online CE course only, well, I guess that's what we have to, because there's no, yeah.
Yeah,
it's-
well,
so
you
Joe-
just have to be
the-
specific and make sure that it's just for the June 30, 2024 renewal.
Okay,
And then I know that you're gonna be presenting that to the what?
small business.
Small business review
Yeah.
board or whatever. Should we wait to get back feedback from that, or
I
should we
think
go
so.
in? Okay,
You
then
should
we can make any changes that they probably
They
present
may have.
along with.
Yeah,
with
I
what
think you
we-
should wait till
Okay.
after that.
Okay.
And that is also a public meeting, so people could attend that meeting as well and provide input, so
Yes.
it
Okay,
might be best to wait until after that
okay,
before we strike out any more language or revise.
sure.
So can someone, Olivia, is that your motion?
So my motion is to accept online CPR courses only for the June 30, 2024 license renewal to meet their CE requirements. I need a second.
This is Shannon. I'll second that.
Thank you, Shannon. All in favor, Shannon,
Yes.
Darcy,
Yes.
and I see Jace, so you can vote. You heard this.
Well, I'll abstain because I only heard part of it.
You're gonna abstain? Okay, all right, no problem. And Olivia is a yes, so 3 votes, this motion is moving forward.
Oh, we missed you at the last conversation, Jace.
Okay, he can listen to the recording, right?
Oh, devil's advocates over
Okay.
here.
Let's see. Can we just table the item B, Rise 5B? Can we table that to the next meeting?
Sure. We do have a raised hand in
Oh.
the attendees. Candace, she's also my supervisor,
Sure.
so we can
Can we promote her?
panelists, yeah.
Hey, is my audio working?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I just wanted to ask if the board wanted to consider including the first aid and other emergency training courses online because it's CPR, first
Yeah.
aid and emergency. So
Yeah.
you could amend your motion to include the 3.
Sure. I can amend it to include CPR, first aid, and emergency response training. We will accept it only up to June 30, 2024.
I think that's good. It's clearer.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do I need to do another vote or a
Yeah.
second? Okay,
Yes.
that is the motion. Shannon, will you second?
I second that motion.
Okay. And voting in favor, Shannon,
Yes.
Darcy,
Yes.
Jace,
Abstain.
okay, and Olivia is a yes. Okay, motion moved.
I just wanted to say aloha, Candace. Nice to meet your voice for a moment. I was curious, was she participating in the meeting?
She is Rise's supervisor.
I think she just wanted
She
to
just wanted to.
get
Clarify.
comments. Yeah, I don't see her hand raised, so I think she's
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. Cool. Okay, let's move on. Number 6, so the Interstate Massage Therapy Compact, we kind of went over it a little bit with the FSMTB people. I would say let's just keep it on as our ongoing business because there's only one state that's joined so far, and I don't see us jumping into it right away. That's my opinion, and I am involved in a lot of the legislative discussions on a national level. And I'm actually gonna have another meeting in September that I'll be attending.
That
Any
was my
thoughts?
feeling too. That was my feeling too. Let's just wait and get as much information about it and learn more about it. I mean, there's only one other state.
Mhm.
involved.
I
Right.
read
And
the whole,
the state that's on it is a part of the
I
federation.
read the whole
So
compact. I read the whole compact, and I've been in discussion with other state representatives, other government relations people. And we discussed everything on that compact. So I can tell you there's a lot of reservations. I know that it's fairly new, but this was actually something from 2016. It was proposed initially. This is 2024. That's 8 years. So
Yeah.
FYI.
Well,
So
and that actually helps me too. I didn't mean to, I don't want to be like unpopular because I might have some concerns about it, but I think that's our position as board members to speak our individual opinions because we represent a body of the community. So thanks for saying there are other reservations too.
yeah, reservations about the compact I can see absolutely, especially
Yeah.
for our state and
right.
for our industry and the local massage therapists that we serve.
Mhm.
I'm very hesitant that this could take away from that and actually encourage traveling massage therapists to
Sure.
come here seasonally. And I don't know if that's helpful for what we're trying to accomplish here in Hawaii.
Sure. I get that.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. Do we have a time limit today, Reese?
What is
Well-
we start at 9? I would say 11:30.
Okay. Because I know the rules revision always comes last and I am like,
o'clock. I mean, you guys, I definitely want to end by noon
yeah,
for sure. And I know, I think Jace might have to jump off
okay.
too. I think.
Okay, so I know that 2 meetings ago, I had asked the board members to take a look at
And one
our,
more thing, sorry, just one more comment.
Sure.
So I guess whatever we discussed today,
Hmm.
I mean, we did say that we're gonna take a look at the draft again after the small business
Mhm.
meeting, so totally, I think, yeah, we should discuss ideas and stuff, but I don't really
Sure.
want, I don't really want to send another draft through the administrative office right
Sure.
now, so after
No,
the.
I'm addressing things in general.
Okay, that's
Something that I did say a couple of meetings ago, I think it might have been January or November. I can't January maybe, yeah, January. Because I had asked the board members, in fact, you know what, let me pull out my notes. I believe I had asked the board members, and that was before Shannon and Sean came on board. And I said, let's take a look at our rules, look at our education requirements. Okay, because I know that looking at the exam results, I'm really disappointed. And I'm actually intrigued and I'm kind of scratching my head, Shannon, when you said that the school made it, or the students are more confused with extended hours in anatomy. If you learn more in anatomy, wouldn't you learn more? I don't get that.
Yeah,
How
I
do they
hear that
get-
for sure.
How do they get confused about extended hours in learning what muscles make up the shoulder complex? What muscles make up the hip complex? I don't get it.
Yeah, no, and it's not something I dabbled in deeply with them. I think I was listening on that board meeting when you asked, and one thing that was really important to me that I would go and ask the schools about increasing hours and their thoughts on that and how they think that would support their students being more successful in the exam. So that's kind of where that question stirred up that response. And that was just a testimony. And I can go back and dabble in a little bit more because it is interesting. But yeah, is that where we're starting at, is the question of increasing hours? Is that where you want to?
Yeah, that's
where we want to
so
talk
I
right
was asking the board to take a look at our rules, to look at our education requirements. Okay, if we increase it, what should we increase it to? What area should we increase it in? Okay, because there's basically 3 segments, right? Anatomy, theory and practice, and then the actual practice, which would be your hands-on. The hands-on, I don't think we need to increase that anymore. We've got a lot, okay? We actually require 320 hours of hands-on. On the national level, they require a minimum of 225. They actually require more in anatomy and kinesiology than we do. So if we increase our hours, I wanted to increase it in the anatomy and kinesiology. And that's where a lot of our students that are taking the exam, we're failing. Almost 40% are failing in the anatomy portion. If a person doesn't know how to massage the part of my body that I need help on, heaven forbid if I'm ever going back to that person or that business. And I've heard of people getting hurt because they come to me. I've heard of people getting hurt from somebody that didn't know how to deal with their injury because they didn't know how to place their arm or neck or leg, that is injured, and it made it worse. So to me, if we increase our education, specifically in the anatomy and in the kinesiology portion, because a student will learn a little bit more about the muscles that they directly affect through palpation, through actual massage. Kinesiology, they will learn more about how the body moves with the muscles that's attached to those bones. So I don't get it. I'm really baffled. So my suggestion would be to increase, if we increase our hours, it would be in those two areas. And that's just something I wanted everybody to, I wanted to get your feedback on that. And also, you know, it's not something that we have to do right now, but I'm looking at it and trying to look at it objectively. And I've looked at other states where what their requirements are. We are one of the states that have the lowest hours required in anatomy. Aside from California, who has a practice act, not a licensing law, where they still accept 250 hours of education in 1 or 2 counties out of the 4. Thoughts? How about, what do you guys think?
Well, I've been thinking about this a lot and talking to some colleagues about it. And, you know, my main people, longtime friends over here own schools, the Golden Lotus, and, you know, Mark Olson, he's very vocal. And,
He is.
what's that?
He is.
He is.
Yeah.
And, you know, I really think that, I mean, he has some ideas, and I've been giving them serious thought, because I up until now, I hadn't really rolled my sleeves up and dove into this. So I'm gonna share some of his thoughts that I've been contemplating. He's talking about reducing actually the number of hands-on hours from hands-on requirements from 310 to 275 or less. He's suggesting clinic requirements within this, but keeping the clinic hours actually low. He's talking about reducing theory requirement to 25 hours as ELAP suggests, but making a distinction between the theory and practice altogether, because no other state on the chart has theory as a requirement. And then talking about taking 110 hours from the 420 and making it its own requirement, separate from the hands-on, and making a suggestion to be called professional development, or something like that. But also increasing the overall hours. His suggestion is along with ELAP's recommendation to 625, like, you know, other states. Increasing, his suggestion is to increase science requirements to 150, which I think falls aligned with you, like increasing anatomy, physiology, kinesiology, and pathology. I'm aligned with that. I've given it a lot of thought. As you know, I opposed it in the beginning, and because I was thinking about financial concerns. That was my major concern with people. We've been under so much hardship, and but I've given it a lot of thought, and I really believe, and looked at the data. And one of the reasons that I have been really deeply contemplating Mark's model is because his students have 100% pass rate. 100% pass rate, as opposed to my other colleague who has a different school and it's not quite as high. And I asked Mark point blank, I'm like, what's your study guide? You know, And he actually shared that with me. And so this is how I've been looking at it and talking to my friends. And I actually go to these schools and I talk to the students about before they graduate. And I've been doing this for decades. And just also getting a sense of what they know and where they're at and, you know, checking out their clinic. And, you know, they all have varying degrees of proficiency in my experience. Actually, I've been a spa owner for 20 years, and in my experience, there's not many people fresh out of school who really give, unless they have other experience, who like in another state, who really like give a great massage. They get out of school and it still takes them years and years to develop. That's my personal experience. So let's see, just the data to kind of recap. I agree. Also, I'm aligned with Mark. Maybe not in the deep drill down, but I feel, and I'm also aligned with you, Olivia, in that anatomy, physiology, kinesiology, pathology, perhaps pathology may need to be increased. I say that because, you know, we get people and we, in our intake forms, you know, what contraindications, what medications are you on? I don't think, you know, we're supposed to know the whole, you know, physician's dictionary, you know, and all the medical terminology. That's out of our purview. You know, I have a nurse practitioner who works as a massage therapist, and there was a woman with all these medicines listed, and I'm like, okay, what's this? She's like, allergies, this, that. You know, but increasing pathology might be too much out of our purview.
No, I don't think so. And I think initially, and I have my notes, when we initially broke it down with another board, I have it broken down, and yeah, we did break out pathology. We did reduce hands-on, but I don't want to get into the meat of that. I just wanted to find out what everybody's overall thoughts are.
Yeah. To build on that, Olivia, because there's a lot of subcategories inside this category. The goal, we want more students passing the exam so they can be successful. Okay, that's goal number one. Ways we can do that. We're considering increasing hours. That also has effects on, I know, the 150% rule for programs and financing. That builds off that. Also, we changed the exam. So there is that. How can we provide educators the resources that they need, not to just increase their hours, but to like do it with tact and putting it where those hours need to be and the subjects that need to be disclosed. So I think we have the umbrella of that, and then there's these subcategories that we need to really fine tune that all actually domino affect each other.
Sure. You know, I kind of hear something in what you're saying, Shannon. But the lesson plans, okay, are created from the books, and there are instructor manuals, okay? Because when I was at Remington, our pass rate was above 90%.
Oh, that's amazing.
And Massage Envy hired practically all of my students. When Nate opened up his Pearl City office, when he opened up his,
and they're all still working for us.
Yes, I
They're
know.
amazing. Yes.
Yes, I know. So here's the thing. It is not the student alone. It is the instructor and the lesson plan that they provide. And I have seen this way too many times. It's the instructor's responsibility to deliver that information and for them to understand, grasp, and apply it into critical thinking, clinical situations. To me, there's a disconnect right there.
Agreed.
That's where I'm seeing a lot of it. And if you cannot take what you learn in a lesson and apply it in a clinic, then the teacher needs to relook at their lesson plan. I'm sorry. It is on the instructor. I've had many instructors go through Remington, and I can tell you the better ones were really hands-on with their students.
Correct.
Okay,
And
and there's
based off of-
instructors that will lecture. That student ain't gonna pass. I can tell you that now. If they do not make the connection tactily while they're learning, and it's the instructor's responsibility to make sure that the education is applied. So it's not just the student, but the student is our final product. So we need to look at the schools, we need to look at the instructors. They all know, I hate to say, because it is in the application brochure, they all know where the resources are, what books are being used. Hello? If you're too cheap to buy that book, because I know of a couple of schools, they buy an anatomy coloring book this thick, and that's all they teach from. I'm sorry.
So
I-
no,
It's so frustrating.
we gotta face the facts brutally.
Yeah.
And I think, how can we have that type of support for the schools? I know we talked about in past board meetings, us understanding what schools failing students or programs that they are coming from. So we have that, acknowledgement. Then could we go and connect with those schools to support them? Or is that not, am I trying to change the world type problem? And that's not our.
Yeah,
I don't think
we're a
that's-
regulatory board.
Yeah.
We're a regulatory board. That's not our
Yep,
job.
Not our
That's
job.
not our job. The instructors at the schools are paid to do their job. We are volunteers.
Could
I
we share
don't-
statistics with them based off of the students that they are sharing the exam with, and,
Sure.
or, sharing, hey, your students are failing the exam. Like, we think you should know so you can improve your program.
Yeah, and I think, you know what, looking back at my notes, when we discussed the November, December 2023 exam results, David Gruppen from DCCA was there, and I had asked if there was a way that we could find out which schools the students attended. And Rise, it looks in my notes that you're gonna check with Gina, and I know I mentioned that.
Thanks.
Well,
Did we ask her at the item?
I don't
review?
remember. I don't think so.
I think maybe
We did not.
I'll bring
maybe
it up.
next time. Yeah, can you?
I'll bring it
maybe
up
we can
because
do it
I
at
think
that
that's
time.
really key. And I agree with you, Shannon. We should let the schools know. I mean,
don't
but
know if
that's
that's
not our
over-
job.
So for the board, I don't know if that's overstepping the
Mm.
scope within our statute to tell.
Yeah,
other-
that's true.
So I believe the board could use the information that we receive from PSI, but I don't
Yeah.
think it's legally.
Mm. Yeah, I
to
kind of
be- to go
question
outside
that.
of Scope,
That makes sense.
Yeah, I
So,
kind of
I dream
question that.
big. I try to, I want to, there's a problem, want to fix it, and yeah,
Yeah, it's
also
not our
making sure
job
we
to
do
fix
within
it,
our
though.
minds.
Get
It's
that,
not
but
our-
I mean, regarding PSI, you can definitely ask them that question, but that's for the board's own information, I think.
Okay, yeah. Well, I do want to know
Yeah,
for myself, because there's a couple of schools that I'm looking at. And because some of the students from those schools come to me and say, hey, this teacher did not teach us what you taught us in this class. Because I teach advanced courses. After they finish the basic program, that's the only time they can come to my classes. They have to have basic anatomy knowledge. I don't teach in the licensing courses anymore. So, I tell them it's something that you need to ask your instructor more questions if you don't understand. So I think some of that responsibility lies with the student as well. The other thing is, I know that practical knowledge in the clinic setting, and I know you mentioned increasing hours in clinical setting, Darcy, according to Mark. Mark Olson has always been advocating for those things. Yes, I understand. His program is 830 hours long, okay? I get it. I don't think we can jump from 570 to more
No,
than 625.
I don't, I think 625 is an appropriate step right now.
It's an average across all the states.
Yeah, and that's what that's what I'm thinking, it would be way too big a jump for us to go to
Sure.
anything else at this juncture. And to do anything less would be, almost insignificant. It's like, why did we change it? Unless we decide, let's do something incremental, add 20 more and then add, the rest.
That's too hard. That's
That's
too
what I'm-
hard. When you change the law, you want to keep doing that? We just need to focus on what is a good number and let's work towards that. I don't want to do incremental increases because that's going to take a lot of time. A lot of students will get confused in the process. A lot of
get it.
schools will get confused. A lot of instructors will get confused. No, let's just do it clean. So my question
I'm-
to you is,
How many?
yeah,
I'm in favor of 625 hours.
okay. And that's the government minimum, or suggested or recommended, which is fine, I think. And then an increase from 570 to 625, it's really not that much.
5 hours.
That's like 1 week of school, technically. But what do you think, Shannon?
I think 625 is appropriate. I think most of our schools that are the schools that I work with, they already have programs over 625.
Yeah,
So
at least
most schools
600,
don't
yeah.
do the minimum anymore because they have students that we have people that travel to Hawaii to go to school, and then they may go get licensed in another state because they
Sure.
want to do LOMI, or they research that school and it really aligned with them. So yeah, I think the 625 makes sense. And compact or not compact, regardless, we're in alliance, with that. And then the 150% rule,
Yeah.
which I don't think we talked about in new business.
No, I presented it in my written testimony.
Got it.
The past couple of meetings, because that's something that was coming down the pipeline. It was approved on the federal level and that the
Happened
states
to see
have some time
Luanda's
to align
testimony.
themselves. Say that again?
Luanda had sent a testimony regarding the 150
Oh,
percent rule, but she was just agreeing with the board that like the board should increase their hours to meet that 150% guideline so that the schools can receive funding.
sure.
So,
that
yeah,
was
the board to
that
make
was
sure
my
that they saw that.
that was the reason behind my proposal to increase the hours to begin with. Because I worked with a school that had federal financing, and other schools could not get federal financing because they weren't at that level. So that was kind of like my backstory on that. Jace, what are your thoughts? If you were to learn a profession, I don't know how to structure this question. Oh, I know. If you were to learn to become a carpenter, wouldn't you want to know how a hammer is used on a nail head and then actually learn how to apply that in the direction of your stroke or whatever, how you pound your hammer? Wouldn't that help you in becoming a proficient carpenter?
Short answer,
I'm just
yes.
using that as an analogy.
Yes.
And so,
Yes.
where do you think, if we were to increase our hours, you're hearing where we're saying they need to learn more about the body, they need to learn more about how the body works, and then apply that in a clinic setting. What do you think of that concept?
I mean, at a very general level, from the perception of a public member and consumer of these services, I would see very little downside to increasing education hours, being that the intent would be students that complete this and pass the exam would be better prepared for providing these services. Now what that number is, I kind of leave that to you folks, the experts, in this subject matter. But
Wait, sorry, did you say you disagree or you agree with?
I
increasing the
agree
hour- Oh, you
with
agree. Okay,
increasing
sorry.
the hours.
I didn't hear that. Okay, okay.
I mean, being that the intent is for applicants that complete these hours and pass the exam, they're better prepared to provide these services, right?
Mm-hmm.
At a very global level. Now, whether or not that actually ends up being the result, I think remains to be seen, going back to your earlier point, Olivia, on the quality of how this education is being delivered.
Mm.
Which sounds like there is no purview of this board over that piece of it. So within our actual control here, if the best way of getting the end result, which would be, well-prepared individuals providing these services is by increasing the education hours, then yeah, I see no issue with that.
Okay. Yeah, the only thing is we can't tell a school how to teach, what to teach, but it's the instructors, the quality of the instructors I'm seeing in some schools are. So here's a question for Rise and Chris, perhaps. In 45224, hold on, I highlighted it. Because I know George and I had, what you call? George and I had addressed this, that I think initially the apprenticeship rules were more, what's that word? Constrictive, for lack of a better word, than the rules for the students, because it specifically states in our administrative rules that it outlines the CPR class, it outlines the hands-on, blah, blah, blah. But with the students, it was a little bit more liberal, for lack of a better word. And then in the requirements under 450,
Which statute, so we could all follow, hun?
452. In
Uh-huh.
452, wait, hold on.
452, you
Sorry,
said
sorry, no, I lied. It's 1684-23, page 84-8.
Okay, wait, hold on.
Item H, I 1 and 2.
Sorry, could you give
1680
that again so I could pull up the document?
16-84-23 under subchapter 6,
84-23.
Yeah,
item 2H 1 and 2.
Hold on a second. I'm
It
just-
reads, assessment of the client's condition and the general technique to be applied. That's how it starts.
Okay, sorry, 1684, and it did little slow. 1680,
23. Number 2. Oh wait, what is this?
423.
Yeah. Page 84-8, Darcy.
page 84. Okay, thank you.
84-8.
Okay, I'm here.
Okay, in the middle of the page.
Apprentices.
1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th line. And the number 2. Blah, 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 blah.
Requirements
May be
for
obtained.
apprentices?
Huh?
requirements for apprentices?
Yeah, it's under that. So what I'm saying is that the requirements for apprentices were a little bit more
Loose.
limited, I don't know, for lack of a better word, okay? Because it doesn't talk about requirements of instructors at a school. But here it says that the student can learn from an instructor, and I'm reading from the rules right now, may be obtained through workshops given by a massage therapist who's been licensed for at least 3 years and who has received approval from the board. So that's when they apply for workshops for apprenticeships, okay? And this requirement of the instructor or the instructor being licensed at least 3 years, we've always struggled with that because we thought, are they licensed here in Hawaii for 3 years or licensed in another state for 3 years? And so I know George and I had addressed that when we started to draft the rules. So I know that there's some schools here that hire instructors that were licensed last year.
But you
Well,
want
I mean, these rules are specific to the workshops, right? Not the school.
Correct, correct. Correct,
So,
that's what I mean, that the requirements under our rules for apprentices were more descriptive than that of a school. And I get it, because you know what, there were a lot of people that went through apprenticeships that did not have any kind of formal outline or formal program of training and education. And I've seen that in the industry. And then I also see on the extreme end where some of the apprenticeships were modeled after a school. They actually had an outline of the school, you know, the apprenticeship, an outline of their training, how many hours, what they're going to cover, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. Because I know I was one of them. I was very detailed in my apprenticeship when I did it many years ago. And I made sure the students followed, you know, that they had to achieve these hours, they had to do this and they had to do that. So I don't know, maybe I'm just rambling on, but I think part of the disconnect, for lack of a better word, is are the instructors really qualified to teach? Anyway, that's just my comment. But I think I think delivering the information from anatomy, because I've taken anatomy classes at UH, I've taken anatomy classes from independent instructors, and I've taken what they've taught me and how I learned into my lesson plan so that I'm as thorough as I can. And I also make sure that my students will take that information and apply it. And so you know, when I teach classes for postgraduates, the first 2 days is always an anatomy and palpation review. Always, every class I teach, always. And I can tell you, people that have been licensed even for 1, 3, 5 years that take my class, they cannot answer some of my questions. But anyway, sorry, I'm just rambling on.
Getting to the rules though.
Sorry. So going back to the rules, we all agree that 625 is a good number. And then we can take a look at the nuts and bolts further on. So if you would take a look at the nuts and bolts of our administrative rules to continue our discussion next time.
Yeah, I have a question. I'm thinking all of the everything is gonna be need to be updated and the time it's gonna take.
George and I took 1 year to draw a draft.
Oh,
And we
yes,
did this
sir.
on our time, Mondays and Wednesdays for a year. And that draft is still pending, which I am dying. I am really dying because that was 2016 when we started it.
Okay, but does the what I'm saying is um the main rules have to be changed, but also the rules for apprenticeship would have to be changed.
Of course,
Ma-
we
to
overhauled everything.
To match that,
Yep.
and I mean, I'm thinking, I mean, it's a while till we get to this and everything gets implemented. But I'm thinking that, you know, we just, yeah, keep moving forward and think about the categories that we want to increase hours and have it be the simpler, the better, instead of different deeper levels of complexity. Because the more complex it gets, the longer it's gonna take us, and you know.
So that's why I'm suggesting one segment at a time, Darcy.
One segment of what, the rules?
Yes, ma'am.
Mhm.
And it is the education requirements. That's one segment of our rules. I'm not saying look at the whole thing. I do have a draft that George and I worked on, like I said. And we
Well, based on
presented
the
it.
existing like the rule, so the current rules that are going through now, I would suggest the board work off of that draft.
Okay,
That's
that's
what
the
we're
one
doing.
from
That's-
January, right? I
Yeah,
think
so
it was
that's the-
January
yes.
2023 when you.
Yeah, so that's the one that that's currently going through, and that's the one that we're gonna have to do the Ramsayer format. That's the
Sure.
one, you know, where we have to bracket, underline, strike through. So work off of that draft if you're
Okay.
going, if you wanted to make any future changes.
Yeah, this is the one that George and I had
Yeah,
started
so-
to work on.
For the process, yeah, so the current draft still has to go to the small business board. And then there's a public hearing. And then at that time, we keep the draft as it is for now. And then if anything comes up at the hearing,
Mhm.
we would make changes at that time,
Okay.
right? Or
We
no,
can.
I mean, if there are any.
if there are any, otherwise, we would have to wait until this current draft that includes the sanitation rules and the CE requirements goes through its adopted, yeah, that this whole package is adopted, and then we can revise, once those rules are adopted, then we can revise the what you folks are discussing.
Sure.
Because I think going back and forth, it's gonna take too much time, so we have to just
Okay,
push through what we have right now.
I get it. But can we not do some homework?
Oh, yeah,
And look
definitely,
at
yeah.
it? That's what
yeah.
I'm asking. I'm not
Okay.
asking for verbiage right now. I'm asking the board members to take a look at what's in the rules right now. And we're saying we agree to 625. How do you think we should restructure that? These are just general thoughts, because
Yeah.
I'm actually writing actual verbiage in my notes.
Okay,
Because this
Okay.
is something that we worked on, I worked on with George, we worked on when Amy was on the board.
I've been there with you guys since 2018.
So I am pulling my hair over this because I really would like to see some movement on this. I've not seen movement since 2016. This is 8 years.
Mhm.
I mean, I get it that we added the CE requirements and the sanitation came
Yeah,
into
'cause
the
those are already,
rules when
those are in
Department of
statute,
Health.
yeah, where the
Yeah.
board is required to promulgate these rules, so that's why I'm just trying to get this draft through right now.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. Push that
Definitely
draft
keep-
through, but we can still look
Yeah, but
at
you still
other
can
things,
discuss,
right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's all that I'm asking. That's all that I'm asking. So that when we do have time to discuss it down the road, we did some homework. That's all I'm asking. Because if we say, okay, 6 months from now, okay, let's start looking at it, and we've never done anything, I'm just gonna cry. I'm gonna cry. So all I'm asking is take a look at it, have some thoughts, questions, so we can continue our discussion. So that when it's time to come up with the verbiage, that we'll have at least some things in mind. That's all that I'm looking at. We're
Okay.
not looking to revise it right now the only thing is that after that, the business, whatever, what is it? whatever, after the hearing on the current draft, I just want to make sure that we add synchronous learning in there. That's the only note that I have in my minutes.
Yeah.
But other than that, anybody else have anything else? Because if not, we can adjourn. Quick question. So our next meeting is July 2nd, and I see that we're following that calendar that you had proposed earlier. Rise for 2024.
Yeah, that's based on the availability of the conference rooms and
Okay. Can we change the September meeting? Because I will be at a conference in Tampa from September 8th to the 15th.
Is that the meeting that's after July?
Yes.
Okay, we can send out at that time, we can send out another email to see everyone else's availability.
Okay. Just some ideas, because I'll be gone from September 8th, come home for a few days, then I go to Japan until October 20th. So
Right. Yeah, I mean, regarding the meetings, yeah, this is what's on.
I mean, we have a full board, so I'm not too
So,
worried.
yeah. So
but-
it's already on the schedule. I mean, we could always email to recheck everyone's availability.
Okay.
That's what we always do before every meeting, make sure that we have a quorum. So,
Okay.
okay.
Alrighty.
Did you adjourn or
Yeah.
are we?
So officially, I'll adjourn the meeting. It's 11:53 a.m.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Everyone.
Thank
Have a
you.
good
Have a great
day.
rest of your day. Bye-bye.
You too.